a Black Lives Matter movement. So my first question is, why do you think it is important to be an advocate for BLM?
Personally, me, and I think everyone else with the Black Lives Matter movement, we just want justice for the people that need it the most right now, and that is a Black person. So, like George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and many others killed by cops. Um, yeah, so they need the justice they deserve. So,
I agree with that. Um, the next question is, what about BLM matters to you the most?
you know how in like all through our school years we had to stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance, and it said for just or dang, I can't even I don't even know it anymore. Um, for justice for all, Um, but right now we don't see a whole lot of that, and especially with cases like George Floyd and Breonna Taylor's. So
So you don't think that standing for the flag is really standing for everybody?
I don't I don't think so. I because there's so much injustice. So I don't because of that.
Do you stand for the flag? Well, for the flags.
Um, I do, yeah, but I don't. I don't believe the whole like the. Oh goodness, I don't know how to explain it.
See, the way that I
For
see it is,
justice for all. Yeah,
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 I
yeah.
stand just about the fallen veterans and stuff, but I don't
Yes, that.
think that everybody has freedom.
Yeah.
That should be fixed. Okay. So the next question is, why does it mean so much to you specifically, like you as a person?
Um. The Kyle Rittenhouse case. I don't know if you know about that, but the guy that walked into the streets with a gun and was shot two people dead, and he got off on a $2 million bond because people paid for it. But then you see like Tamir Rice, he was shot in the street by a police officer at 12 years old, and he'd be 18 this year. And he has not gotten justice. The cop that had killed him, nothing. And I believe that justice for all. And so.
Okay, I see what you mean. The next question is, how would you describe the protests that you attended?
The protest that I attended was very peaceful, very. Even when we had people driving by saying harsh things, doing harsh things, we just ignored it and we went on about our day. And we just stood there with our signs, chanting what we did. Um, and we all wore our masks. So it was like no one there was not wearing a mask. So that's another part to that. But yeah.
What are your thoughts regarding COVID and like attending them? Do you think that it was kind of irresponsible of people to do it, or do you think that it was for a good cause, so it was better to go and attend and maybe run the risk of getting COVID?
Um, like I said, like the protests that I attended, we all wore masks and we all had our distance. Um, I know at some of the protests you see people without their mask, whatever. But personally for me, I was there. I was wearing my mask. I was still doing my part. And I think everyone should be wearing their mask, being safe about it. And if they are going to a protest, wear your mask.
Um, did the BLM movement, did like attending a protest affect your political views?
um, no, because I've always had the same thoughts. Like this whole the past 2 years I've had the same kind of political views, and um I noticed that our recent president wasn't doing anything about the protests, and he was calling us thugs, or not the protests, but he wasn't doing anything about it, the the injustice of these people, and he was calling the people that are protesting thugs, and I did not like that. And I noticed that Joe Biden, he is actually for the BLM movement, and that really struck with me. So
Did you condone the rioting and the looting?
Definitely not. 99% of Black Lives Matter protests are peaceful, and the ones that weren't, those don't represent the Black Lives Matter movement. Black
Um,
Lives, yep, sorry.
for the next question, it's has supporting the movement caused any issues in your life? Like you stopped talking to people, or people just stopped being your friend?
Um, I've had the same friends for a few years now, and none of them, like all of them, they went to protest with me. The ones that didn't, they still support. Um, so not really. Some people would come up to me and be like, "All lives matter," blah blah blah, and I would just ignore it. Because I feel like that just degrades the whole Black Lives Matter movement. But you know, you deal with it.
Yeah, I was never a big fan of the All Lives Matter
Uh,
saying.
it's
I thought it
it's
was very
it's
ignorant.
very degrading, very
Yeah.
degrading. I feel like the people that say it mean white lives matter. Like you're not. What about like the LGBTQ lives? What about them? What about it doesn't make sense to me.
I
But
just thought it was ignorant because they didn't take a step back and realize everything that was going on, and they still had the nerve to say that. But
it
it,
is, and then they went on with the Blue Lives Matter thing, like. But it's it
I
happens.
loved the jokes they made with the Blue Lives Matter though, and there was like, I didn't know Smurfs existed, and I was like,
Oh yeah, yeah, that was funny. That was funny. Or they were like the postal workers. Yeah, those are the only blue lives that matter. That was so funny. Oh, but
do you think everyone should support this movement?
definitely, like for sure. I don't know why anybody would not want justice for all, but
Do you think that saying Black Lives Matter is degrading other lives, like Hispanics or whites or anybody else who's currently facing stuff that the Black people are facing? Because like
definitely not.
immigration and then the people that are in cages and stuff, and it's like, I don't know. I guess whenever people would try to relate the Black Lives Matter movement to the people in cages, it always came down to one seeming more important than the other because one
Yeah,
issue was covered by the media and the other one wasn't.
right. Um, yeah. How do I say? Black Lives Matter does not mean that no one else's lives matter. It just means one life needs more attention than the other. One life means, and I'm. It makes me sick at my stomach what's happening at the border. But Black Lives Matter does not just mean Black lives in America. It means Black Lives Matter that are like no sorry Black lives that are in Africa, anywhere that are dying and have no justice. So
See, I hate the people that like, I know hate is such a strong word, and I don't hate
yeah,
people. For me to hate you, it's crazy. But I hate the people that go around saying that Black Lives Matter is talking about how only Black Lives Matter when it's talking about how one just needs more help than the others. Because
yeah.
I believe that white privilege is real. I just don't
Oh
believe
yeah, for
it's
sure.
money related. And everybody always thinks that it's money, that it's just money. But I'm like, just because you have white privilege does not mean you're not going to struggle with money. It just means you're not going to struggle because of the color of your skin.
Exactly. Like
And
Kyle Rittenhouse. This man shot two people dead, was carrying a gun in the streets, and he was arrested peacefully, and took him to prison. And he was there for a little while, and then $2 million bond was paid, and Tamir Rice was shot dead with a toy gun, and makes me sick.
it makes me sick too. And then the people that have no common sense and don't understand it just make me wonder.
But those people you have to ignore because they're not going to look up and educate themselves about the whole the whole movement. So
This is related to it, but what do you think about stereotypes? Because this is about police brutality and how people are getting killed just for no reason in the skin. Well, their skin color, which isn't really a valid reason. But what do you think about stereotypes and how stereotypes fall into this?
I know there was a big one going around that, oh, it's just white girls making it trendy, making it cute, making the whole movement, you know. But that's not me at all. Like, if you would have seen me out there at the protest, I was standing there with my black brothers and sisters and protesting, and because it means so much to me. Like, I I don't think another person should be killed for their skin color. I don't think that at all. I think everyone should be equal. And I'm a white person and I'm not making it trendy and cute. I am not. But I have been told that.
Yeah. What do you think about stereotypes regarding like what officers are taught to do? Like, for example, if they see a black person, they're probably like they might be aggressive due to like the past, or if you see a white person, they might be on drugs. If you see a Hispanic, they might like also be aggressive or stuff like that.
Yeah, and a lot of it goes it goes along with racism, systematic racism, and how um police, or not just police, but people think that, oh, this black man's going to do this, and in reality, you have no idea what they're going to do. You don't know if that man is a CEO of a company. You don't know if he's just, you know, yeah, I can't.
I understand that because I agree with you there. Well, there's people who say that systematic racism isn't real, that it's just like, what do you think about officers who, like, for example, the ones that have mistaken hairbrushes as guns? What do you think about that? Do you think that if you were in that specific situation, do you think you would have shot, or do you think that you would have been like, hold back and tell them to like freeze and just see what's in their hand?
Um, Definitely look and see if it's actually what it is. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Hate You Give, but it's a really good movie, and it actually has the hairbrush thing in it, and it was because of the boy in it. I can't remember his name, but he was holding a hairbrush, and he was going to get it out of his car, and the cop shot him. And I think back to that a lot because I'm actually a major in criminal justice, and I want to help change the justice system, and I want that so much. And I I would look in their hand, see what it is first, not just, oh, yeah, like,
Would you rule that as a hate crime, or like, or would you rule that as like racism, considering the fact that like if somebody's bent
if
over a
you're the thing
vehicle and the
if you're
cop,
just if you just look at them and just, I I don't really like, do you just look at them and, oh, it's a gun, and just shoot them, or
do you think
there
it's maybe because of like the fear, especially when it's like at
yeah.
night, really know what they could be grabbing? So would you still rule that as a hate crime?
I don't I don't really necessarily know, because if I don't know how you would justify it not being. I don't know how you would justify it would being, but
Okay,
yeah, I don't.
back to the George Floyd, which you mentioned earlier. Um, what do you think about when the body cam footage was released from the officers and he was actually resisting arrest? Do you think that he was still the right person to be fighting for? Because I
Yeah, I
understand
do.
Black
I do.
Lives.
I don't, even if he was resisting, he was not armed. He did not have he should not have been on the ground with a knee to his neck that caused him to pass away. That should never have happened. And another thing, what Biden's going to do, he's going to get rid of all neck restraints, all, like, all, like what happened to George Floyd. He's going to get rid of that, and that makes a huge difference. But even if he was resisting, he should not have died that day. He should not have died.
Yeah. Do you think that Do you believe that abolishing the police system would do anything?
It's not abolishing, it's defunding, which means they have so much money
That
to
goes
do
into
all of this stuff. But you look at the schools. My school personally didn't have a whole bunch of stuff. And you see all these cops getting brand new cars, brand new lights on their cars that are like $30,000. I remember that. And I'm just like, seriously, seriously. But they're going to defund them, which means, or well, they want them to defund them and put the some of their money into different things like the school systems. So I'm all for it.
Okay, what do you think about the people who don't support the movement? Like, what are your thoughts on people like that?
I just think they're uneducated, personally. Um, if you really sat back and looked at all the information, educated yourself, I think you would definitely be a
Well,
person too.
if you sit back and look at statistics, it's only 1%. And I do agree with you that it shouldn't be happening at all. But statistics wise, it shows that only 1% is a victim of police brutality.
And that it shouldn't be 1%.
It shouldn't be 1%. But if you were to tell somebody to look back at statistics, that would be the first thing they'd pull up. So what would you say to that?
There should never be any percentage of it. Like, I don't think police should be killing someone for not being armed, for not paying attention enough. I don't. Yeah.
I do agree with you there. Do you think the movement is accomplishing everything that you were hoping for? Now that Biden's, well, I don't know what's happening with the presidential election. We're just gonna let it be because I swear Trump's lost like 6 times in a month, but
yeah. Um, yeah, Biden, he is. I was reading this article about 100 reasons why to vote for Biden, and I was reading it to my parents, and they were like, "Oh, okay." And it had something about the Black Lives Matter movement, and it had the whole thing about the neck restraints, and uh, some more things. And I was sitting there, and I was like, "Yeah, this is what we need. We need this." So.
do you think the Black Lives Matter movement alone has accomplished what they were hoping to accomplish?
I don't think we've accomplished everything we want to, but it all goes back to the people that we haven't gotten justice for everyone, and I understand why, and I think it all goes back to the systematic racism still, but I wish we did, and I wish these people had justice, but they still don't, so.
How do you think that you said Biden supports the BLM movement, which I didn't know. I didn't know that he supported it. I just knew that it was a big part of the Democratic Party. But um, since the Senate is mostly Republican and it's all dependent on Georgia as of right now, what do you think is going to happen if the BLM movement relies completely on Biden to get these things passed, but they don't get passed because the Senate is mostly Republican?
I think we should go to the Senate first and be like, this, we need this and this and this and this to happen. And maybe, just maybe, it'll happen. But you never know. And
I saw this image the other day on Instagram, and it was like it had 3 black men, and one of them was obviously he was in trial, and I think he went to jail. The other one was his lawyer, and the other one was a police officer. And then it said that it was proving that systematic racism is not a real thing because you determine your future, not somebody else. So, what did you think about that?
what?
It had 3 black, and one of them was going to jail, so it was his trial. The other one was his lawyer, and the other one was a police officer. And it said that it's not dependent on your skin color.
It is, definitely. There's racism everywhere, and I hate it. And
Especially Alabama.
especially Alabama.
Big time.
No, but my hometown was very disgusting too. In Georgia. So I I still believe systematic racism is real, and I believe that it should not be a thing anymore. But that's, you know, people hiding their racism. So I think cops, they should not use the force that they do. They also, I don't think cops should use a gun when they don't know what that person has in their hand. You know, I mean, I can understand like extreme measures for extreme circumstances, but not for a little boy on a street holding a toy gun.
Do you think that um do you think that it's gotten better now that the BLM movement is like really out there? Because I know it's been a thing for a while, but now it's just really, really out there.
If you look at statistics, um, I don't even. I'm trying to think back to the article exactly how it was said, but it was saying that there's been more hate crime since Trump has been in office than there has in the past 20 years. And it's scary to think about, but when you have somebody like him in office that is racist, and if you go back to the things he has said when a few years back and throughout his presidency, you can definitely see that. And I think that's what brings it out a lot. So
Yeah. Do you I don't know what else to ask. Is there like anything that connected you to the BLM movement? Like anybody in your family that might have been involved in anything similar? Or,
my best friend, she I and I don't even know. I'm the type of person, I have love for everyone, no matter what. Um, and I love my black brothers and sisters, and they deserve justice. So that's, yeah. But it wasn't. I don't think it was really any. I said my best friend, but I don't think it was her specifically. I think it was the whole people, black people being killed by cops, and you didn't see very many white people being killed by cops. But you know,
what do you think about the comparisons that people try to make when they pull up like a few people that have died due to police brutality that were white? And like, for example, I don't remember the name of the boy, but he died just like George Floyd. What do you think about the comparisons that are trying to be made? Do you think it's fair to make the comparisons?
I I don't think so. I still think that every person deserves justice. But it every situation is different. So I'm
Yeah.
not really sure how to go about that whole situation. I've never heard about that.
I saw it like whenever the whole George Floyd thing started, people were
Oh,
comparison. But there was no comparison to be made because the guy that did it, the officer that did it to the white male, ended up in jail.
see, exactly.
There was no comparison really being made. It was just a matter of trying to make people feel bad.
Yeah. See, that's the thing I don't like. They try to
But
make these things and it doesn't work out for them because the cops end up in jail.
yeah, well, those were all my questions. Thank you for doing this interview.
It's not a problem. I'm sorry I was so awkward.
No, you're fine. You did Great. I still have a few more to go, but I'm not doing them today because I'm not feeling.
Okay. All right. Have a great